Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Cinema Surprise by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today is the season one finale of Cinema Surprise, and we're going out on a fucking high note, baby. My last pick of the season was The Fabelmans, released on November 23rd, 2022, written by Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner, directed by Steven Spielberg. I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? It is always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And today feels like a true pleasure. I was excited to show you this movie. It's been one that you've heard me talk about
Mm-hmm.
for a year and a half as it came. I watched it for the first time in December of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Almost nearing 2 years now. And I must ask, did I oversell?
No, no, I didn't know I'd have like a new all-timer on my own, just my own personal all-time best movies of all time. I don't know, I don't even know what to really call it anymore because like I have movies like Spider-Man up very high and I know I just can't put Spider-Man next to like even this,
Yeah,
it's like
right.
it's impossible, but um no, this one it's sitting at 2 right now. Well, I think it was. And then I put some Star Wars ones above it. I did pull the trigger, I think, too fast, but immediately
Mhm.
it jumped
No,
right
that's
to
where your
2.
gut takes. No, like,
Um,
and that's the impact this movie has.
mhm.
I was going to be astonished if this wasn't one of your favorite movies of all time.
Mm,
Like, and if I can be that confident in how good a movie is,
mm,
that's my like. I don't know if you'll recall a couple weeks back. I think I used the Sumai for a 10 on Singing in the Rain, I think. Um,
mhm. I
just a
think
couple weeks ago, and I was so confident I could use it then because I knew for a fact there would be no qualms about this one being a 10.
no
Yeah.
need
No, so like that's
whatsoever.
that like that's just the I can't speak highly enough about The Fabelmans. I think that this is I mean, it's certainly amongst my favorite movies of all time. There's such a vulnerability and a self-analyzation that Spielberg does while also creating a relatively universal coming of age story, like
Mhm.
obviously specific events we can't all relate to, but the general transitionary period in that time of your life, uh and statistically, there's probably about 50% of people watching this who can relate more closely to the exact
Yeah.
events of the movie. It's astonishingly well done, and I will say we this is our third 2022 movie in Cinema Surprise. We had it took up a fourth. It took up a fourth of our
Mm.
Cinema Surprise 2022. Babylon, Banshees, and this, and all three, by the way, nominated for best score, all fucking horrendously robbed. Um,
Damn.
I'd go Babylon, Fablemans, Banshees, and All Quiet on the Western Front wouldn't come close to any of them, which is what won.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, Babylon.
A, and I
Whoa.
love Everything
Whoa.
Everywhere All at Once. You know I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Daniels did not deserve best writing or best direction. Not when it was up against this. Not when it was up against Spielberg here.
Spielberg,
It's
it like that's I was it was such a good movie that I was just so into it. But every time that I took a step, like I had to take myself out to kind of be like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like Spielberg is directing this movie in which he's telling this character who is himself like exactly how to feel. You know, like the relationship that that actor has to have like yeah, Gabriel LaBelle.
LaBelle.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that I the relationship he has with Spielberg has to be awesome. I don't know, like that.
Yeah.
This had to be the coolest movie to make. Like if you're a Spielberg fan, and I don't,
Hmm.
how is that possible to not be? I don't know.
Right.
Are there
Right.
Spielberg haters out there? Is that even possible?
There certainly
Um,
are, but what's really you bring up a good point there with like Gabriel LaBelle, the relationship he had to have formed with Spielberg. I mean, we've got a star in the making with Gabriel LaBelle there.
yeah.
The kid is fucking incredible. Um,
Does he
and
remind you
I
of anybody?
absolutely adore him.
The whole
My little
movie.
brother,
Mm. Oh,
he reminds me
really?
of my little brother.
Just
Yeah, he
straight
reminds
up.
me of Quentin a lot.
Okay, I got, and
It's
it's
mostly at certain angles. Like
I see
there'll be
that
a
now.
profile every time he's
Mm.
like in a profile. Like I remember there's a dark moment in the movie, relatively dark, but it's after his mom hits him. And he goes and he stands against the door, and it's like his side profile leaning against the door.
Mm.
He has like almost an identical profile
Hmm.
to my little brother, and it blows my fucking mind every time I watch this movie. Um,
Wow.
but who do you have in mind?
Oh well, it's Freddy off Stranger Things. I wish I should. The new Rock, Rock, is that his name in Stranger Things? Freddy? Maybe
Eddie.
that's
Eddie.
Eddie. Eddie. I knew.
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't. Okay, but I don't know why. It just that's
Interesting.
I.
Joseph Quinn, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there it is, Joseph Quinn.
I
Every
didn't
now
clock
and
that.
then, yeah, just with like shorter hair. If he didn't have the
I
Rock
got
and
you. I
mullet,
got you.
it felt like
Yeah,
every now
I
and
could
then.
see that.
But
No, but I love Gabriel LaBelle, and I think
mm-hmm.
that the the portrayal of him of Sammy Fabelman was so incredibly well done that I mean, I'll be astonished if Gabriel LaBelle's not a name we know for years to come. He's already been cast in the new there's a new movie coming out called SNL 1975, which is about the first airing of the first
Ooh.
episode of Saturday Night Live, and I remember that he was one of the first people announced to be in it, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be a pretty big part.
Hmm.
But I'm looking forward to that. But yeah,
Wow.
no, Spielberg's vulnerability on display here is incredible. There's such a rawness and such a there is obviously a meta nature to this movie because Spielberg is one of those directors that's not like it's not like it's little known, you know.
Hmm.
Like if Denis Villeneuve, he's obviously not little known either, but if he made a movie kind of like this that was autobiographical, it wouldn't hit the same because we don't feel like we know Denis Villeneuve nearly as well as we feel like we know Spielberg.
Hmm.
And Spielberg knows we know him that well, so there is also like that layer of like whenever at the end of the movie, whenever he's talking to the jock at the end of the movie, and
Hmm.
he's like, never tell anybody about this. And he's like, I won't, I promise, unless I make a movie about it, which is the movie he's making right now. You
Oh.
know, like
Oh, that was so
it's
cool.
incredible. It's
That's
incredible.
that is what Endgame wishes it could have done. Like I feel like that's like just Hollywood's kind of like a fourth wall break. I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of like the ultimate status that you can reach whenever you're at that level where you're right. Like we do, it wouldn't really work with another director, really. Like it, I don't
Well, and
know.
then
It just,
the actual end of this movie, just I love I love the last scene in this movie, mostly because we're talking about three of my favorite film directors of all time. We have one of the greatest film directors of all time directing one of my favorite and one of the best film directors of all time, who happens to be playing one of the greatest film directors of all time. That's David
whoa.
Lynch. That's David Lynch playing John Ford at the end. Um,
Oh, I just kind of
yeah,
assumed. I'm just like, well, I
yeah.
don't know what John Ford looks like. I'm
John
just
Ford's
gonna.
long gone. Yeah,
Okay, I kind of thought
yeah,
that. I'm like, he's
yeah.
probably dead. That's kind of nuts if this is
Yeah.
really him.
No, it's
But
David
whoa.
Lynch. That's David Lynch playing him, and he does a
Huh.
fantastic fucking job. So just like the amount of joy that scene alone fills me with, because
Oh.
I love A Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and the fact that that's the movie that
Wow.
inspires him to make his first, Western sort of thing that he shows, the one that he pokes the pinholes in and makes the
Uh-huh.
gun like that was inspired by A Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and then at the
Yeah.
end, that's the last that's the last poster on the wall next to him. He's like, holy shit, I'm here, like I'm with the guy
Mm.
who made the movie that made me want to
Yeah.
make movies.
Cause I
And
feel like he leans up against that exact poster, like whenever he's
mm-hmm,
outside with his boys and he
mm-hmm,
goes in,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
that's the movie they're watching, I think, when he's
mm-hmm.
like, "Shut up," or like
No,
saying,
fantastic.
but uh,
Another one that I almost picked
huh.
during season one of Cinema Surprise, by the way. I
Mm.
almost pulled trig on A Man Who Shot Liberty
Oh
Valance, but
man,
yeah,
I'm
no, it's
so
uh,
thankful you picked this movie, like because I
mm,
skipped it. I skipped it for Banshees. This was number two. It was between this and Banshees, and I don't know why. What made me go with Banshees, but man, it would have sucked. Like if we did have this the other way around, and Banshees was the finale, and the Fablemans was the penultimate. Yeah, no, it
Well, no,
wouldn't
it
have
just felt like such
worked
a
well.
fitting
But
end,
mm,
like for this part of the project. Like there's such a positive note, a love of film, a love of filmmaking.
oh
And it's so much more than that. I remember you describing the reason you ended up going with Banshees was because you were worried this would fall too much in the Babylon singing in the rain vein. And
Mm-hmm.
there's an element of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
my favorite line of the movie is from Mitzi, his mom, when at the very beginning when she says, movies are dreams, doll, that you never forget. I
Mm.
love that because yeah, duh, fucking right on the fucking money. And there's just so much of Spielberg's love for movies and movie making that just absolutely bleeds through all over this movie. But beyond that, the family drama that ensues and the coming of age story that happens throughout this movie is one of the best family dramas or coming of age stories I've
Mm-hmm.
ever seen. So like, and the fact that it is so rooted in reality is another reason that this movie just gets better and better because it is so personal. It is so, and you feel it. You feel how much Spielberg loved making this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it hits like a truck. I
He's
love it, man.
sitting in their living room while their parents are telling them we're about to have we're doing this, and
It's my scene.
the shot
That's,
of
yeah,
him
yeah.
thinking how
Seeing
he would
him.
shoot it, it's
Hmm.
he's experiencing the emotions in the time. He kind of knew this was going to
Yeah.
probably happen at some point. So like it's probably not a shock to him, but like still an emotional moment to go through. But like I think part of that cry is also like, "Oh my god, I'm also thinking of how I would shoot
Hmm.
this right
Yeah.
now." But then we are watching how he shot it right now. Like we
Yeah.
are watching how he eventually shot it. And that's
Yeah. No, that is my favorite scene of the movie because that is the
uh
most poignant
like
self-analyzation and self-reflective thing I've ever seen a director do. That moment always just makes me fucking
like
sob.
yeah,
And
there's tear ups before, or I mean there's some cry. I mean I am teared up the whole movie almost.
mm,
It's just I'm still stuffed up from it today. Like
right, right.
I did not have allergies at the beginning of today. But now yeah, no, I'm stuffed up because of this movie, and I literally told my mom, I'm like, "Hey, maybe this is one you just stay away from actually." 'Cause I think like not because of I don't think like if my mom watches this movie, I'm going to, I'm not placing my mother into this
Yeah,
movie
no,
sort of
no,
thing.
I get you.
She just cries so easily over
Mm.
anything that this movie might actually like cause respiratory problems. I don't know eventually, but no, I mean it was. Oh my! It was, and there were such good cries the whole time too. Like every time I teared up, it
Mm.
was so nice. I was never like, oh my god, again. No, it was just kind of like, oh, like it felt
It's just kind of
so.
steady. Oh, and I think that that's a product of just how personal it is, like there's a layer to it where you can just feel how vulnerable this is of Steven Spielberg. It's not even like there are moments where there are tear ups where it's just from the amount Sammy loves filmmaking,
Mm,
and the reason you tear up is because these moments led to some of your favorite movies ever. You know what I'm saying? Like without him
yeah.
sitting in the theater for the first time with the projector glowing over his head, I never get to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is one of my five favorite movies of all time, and this is right there with it. Like and that's there's something to be said for how much and like for as vulnerable and personal as this movie is, if you watch any other Spielberg movie again,
Oh, it's gonna be
it
so different.
it recontextualizes every single one of his movies. You've seen Catch Me If You Can, right?
I have
Do
actually.
you remember what Leonardo DiCaprio's what his parents' launching off point was?
His parents. Okay. I remember their apartment. That's actually, or just where they lived,
Yeah.
the
Well, his
visual,
dad's
but not.
Christopher Walken.
Oh,
And if I
okay.
recall correctly,
Okay.
uh, Leo's mom marries their dad's best friend and leaves him with his son. Like that's the sort of shit I'm talking about. Like there are certain movies
Oh,
where
man.
the villain, like the villain in Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, is played by Kate Blanchett. Would give me one guess what you think kind of haircut she has.
Whoa.
Real
Yeah.
tight, real tight bob around the head, looks a lot like Mitzi Fabelman.
Hmm.
Uh, when we get to the Last Crusade on the Sentimentalists, inevitably, that's Indiana Jones and his dad, played by Sean Connery. And the
Mm-hmm.
relationship they have is, Sean Connery's character is like, I wanted this for you. Why'd you go into this? What are you doing? How could you have
Oh,
become this? But he ultimately ends up being proud of him, and like that's like it just seeps through in everything he's ever done. And it's just a really good example of how an artist will always pull from their life to create. And while this is as personal as you can possibly get, besides doing a literal, like going, this movie's going to be called The Spielbergs and it's about me and my family, or a documentary. Like it's just,
I guess how much of because obviously there are probably some parts that are
there's plenty of
dramatized and,
drama.
and
There's
written,
plenty
and
of
it's yeah,
dramatization.
but
Yeah,
like
there's plenty.
I'm assuming the big beats of
Yes.
things are just legitimate. Like I mean, it might as this is the documentary he would make. He wouldn't make a documentary like because
Mm-mm.
even his camping trip video, if it's to be believed that he just took videos of his camping trips and of this, skip day, whatever. It might not have been skip day, but he's filming all the time, and I love that he can even film someone so well that they get pissed off because they
Mhm.
look so good
They'll never live up
in
to
the
the image
movie.
he's created of them,
He,
like
I thought for sure when he was watching, like, oh, and the shot of like the mirror reflecting, you could see the movie in the background of what's the
mm,
jock's name? Um,
oh, I can't
whatever,
remember.
jock, whatever. You could see the jock watching the movie, but also you could see the movie in the mirror. It's a reflection that they prettied themselves up in or whatever. But like
Right.
I thought for sure that he was going to be like, I've never known this, but I think I want to be an actor now, or like I don't know,
Hmm.
like I thought that was gonna be like the storyline instead of him coming up to him and being like, "Yo, dude, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
why
like
are you so goddamn talented that you made me impossible?" Like he was so pissed, and I mean, he had a lot going on too, I guess, a
no,
lot
and
more
that's
going
and
on with
that's
him,
what's
but
cool is that's one of those points that's I'm my money is on dramatized,
mm,
I because that's just such a perfect movie moment. He even says, life's not like the movies, Fableman, but hey, in the end, you got the girl, like all that stuff. Like
mm-hmm,
so, but that character is so fascinating. I absolutely love that. I don't love him, but I loved what they did with that character. And I love that they're trying to make a point about this guy trying to fit an archetype. He's already trying to be something he's not. He's already trying to fill this image of the all-American athlete. He's the
mm-hmm,
all-American boy at their school. He's the jock. He's a little bit of a bully, but he's got the girl and everybody loves him. Everybody thinks he's a good guy. They're all cheering for him when they see him on the screen. And then
mm-hmm.
he sees himself as he wants to present himself, but knows he's never been. And the fact that one of the things that I think permeates throughout this movie is that it shows the power of a director very, very well. Like
The
that point
dumb
whenever
military guy,
Oh
the or
yeah, but
whatever.
even beyond that, whenever he shows his family the camping trip video, and he's already discovered,
Mm.
the dark side of the camping trip. Whenever he shows him that, and his mom hugs him and goes, "You see me," like
Now you
he's
really
able
see
to,
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's able to capture
Mm.
what other people don't even know is there strictly. Like I before he shows his mom the alternative footage of her and Benny, um, I think there's a chance she's never consciously even considered it a possibility that she would act on that, you know? I'd be willing to bet it's not until then that she's like, at least that's how Spielberg portrays it,
Mm-hmm.
which then plays into his guilt as Sammy Fableman, thinking it's all his fault that things fell apart, even though it's not. Like this was inevitable. If she was in love with Benny, that's how it was going to go. But he portrays it in a way that's like, this was the spurring moment. This was the event that made everything spiral. All of a sudden, nothing was ever the same because I showed my mom the video of her in love with Benny. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think there's such a poignant
Oh,
vulnerability, and I keep coming back to that vulnerability because that's just what it is. It's so personal and it's
tick tick
so
boom, write what you
mm,
know. I forgot who said it. Who gave him that advice of
it's
just
Sondheim.
yeah, but just
No, wait, it was his agent. That was like right
they
what you
on the
know.
phone the girl
Hmm.
yeah, I guess that girl, yeah, but
Yeah.
just write what you know, and this is very clearly what Spielberg knows. And yeah, I mean this, I don't understand how like a movie like this is just a movie. It was 2 hours and what? Yeah, 30 minutes. Like I didn't want it to end for one. Like I just don't understand how a movie can actually get you to feel this way. I had no idea these are characters. The actors are playing these people. They're not even
Hmm.
real. They're portraying real people. It's just boggles my mind. And
That's another thing, you mentioned the dumb military guy who ends up being like
mm,
who ends up acting his ass off because of a good director, and you talk about forgetting that these people are actors who are seeping into a
mm,
role, like I can't believe how good everybody is in this movie. Like
mm-hmm.
everybody. There's not a single hole that I could poke and be like this character's not too well done.
Oh my
They're all fucking good. Um
Oh my, the amount of flexing that's kind of going on right now in this movie, like,
oh yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
Spielberg's directing young Spielberg to direct that dumb military guy
Hmm.
on how to direct, all
He knows
whatever.
he's one of the greatest directors who's ever lived. That's the comparison he's drawing whenever he gets to meet John Ford at the end.
Yeah.
Like he's earned that too, like
Mm,
it's not even like, "Oh, well dude, come on now. Be a little more humble." No, he's earned that. This man is late in his career. He's almost
mm,
80. Like
mm-hmm.
this almost feels like the culmination of a career. The fact that this isn't his last movie is astonishing. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like
Yeah.
it should be a sign off.
Tarantino, listen, see, you can just keep doing it.
You
I
could
don't
just
know.
keep
Like
doing it, though.
but no, yeah, this it does feel like a sign off. You're right. It does feel like a kind of like here you go, but
I could show you exactly how good I am at this and how good I've always been at this. Like it was like I was born for this shit.
the
Like
train
that's
crash, that
yeah.
he filmed, that is, all these things aren't probably exactly, but like his mom even on that was like, "Holy shit!" Like, wow. Like, I mean,
I thought
the
that was the
little,
greatest
yeah. I mean,
show on earth.
he
More, more,
replicated it
more,
very
more.
well. I wonder if
Yeah.
the pinhole, the poking the holes to make the muzzle flashes happen. I
Mhm.
wonder if that was real, or
Um,
if he
if
legitimately.
you go to IMDb, his earliest credits are the short films in this movie. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did
Escape
they
to Nowhere, the
refilm them,
military
or did
film.
they show the actual
Oh no, they
Spielberg
refilmed
cuts?
them with the yeah,
Okay,
they did
yeah.
they didn't
Okay, I was gonna say, well, yeah, duh, because there's actual the actors that are in the movie. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
duh. Um, I guess that's just how into the story I am. I
Right. You're
legitimately
like
thought that.
this could be real. Yeah.
God damn
But
it.
no, yeah, like the first one's like The Last Gun, which I think is renamed Gunsmog in the movie and then Escape to Nowhere. Um
That is awesome. I wonder if he was like, um, if he saw that pinhole like through somewhere, or if it truly was off like a random inspiration, like his mom stepping through her music sheet, and
mm.
is I guess what did it for him. But yeah, wow.
Well, and there's stuff like that that's so specific that it's
Mm.
almost like when you are talking about such a personal film, a lot of these have to be very specific memories, like to even put a date at the beginning of the movie.
Mm.
He knows what day he fell in love with movies. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? Like
That's
it's
nuts.
January 10th, 1952, which I will add is 48 years to the day before I was born. Another reason I love this movie. January
That's
10th
kind
pops
of
up on the
dope.
screen and I'm like, "Oh, oh, that's me." Like but like that's something that you don't just throw a date at that. I'm certain Spielberg knows what day he went to go see that movie. He, like because there's not another date card the rest of the film. It's just
Damn.
could
That's
also be that it was right before Hanukkah, and like they're just throwing a number on it like that, but I don't know.
that's kind of, I wish, I don't know. I'm trying to there's nothing in my childhood I think that I can be like, yes. That is when my love for whatever has begun.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's tough. Like, cause I do love movies, and I would like it would be really cool to make a movie, but I know that I'm never gonna make a movie. Like, that's just not my bag. That is
Hmm.
it'd be really cool, but not my bag. But like, yeah, I wonder what that like. I'm kind of jealous of like a childhood moment that he can actually point to and be like, yes,
This changed my life and
this,
decided what the course of my
yeah.
entire existence would be.
Honest, was it
Um,
traumatizing or cool to him or both? Like what? Because he felt like he was trying to like hide his like anxiety feelings towards it with just like,
mhm.
oh, this has to be like the coolest. This is such a cool crash and whatever. But like, I feel like it was kind of just like a holy shit. I've never seen anything like this before. Like he's a
Well, I
kid.
think there's a blend of things going on there, you know? I think if you recall the way it felt to we watch things every once in a while now and we're like, "Oh, that's a little scary. I can't believe that's in a kids movie," you know? But that was some of the most exciting shit to watch in kids movies when you were younger. Was the stuff
That's
that pushed the edge for you. Was the stuff that was like, "Oh man, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be seeing this." You know what I'm saying? And that excites you,
mm,
that sticks with you, and that's what decides, like this is oh, I like the way this makes me feel, And I
mm-hmm.
think that was, I think another thing was just a true fascination with the fact that it was done at all, like, how did they trash that? How did they crash that train?
Yeah.
How did the people inside fall over the place? How, like a
Mm,
curiosity. She says, he wants to control it. He wants to make the train crash. He
mm,
wants to figure out how it was done. Um, so like there's another really important line from Bert Fableman played wonderfully by Paul Dano. Um,
mm,
Whenever they come home from the Escape to Nowhere, or no, not the Escape to Nowhere, the one with the pins, the Gunsmog, I think is what it was called.
mm-hmm.
Um, his the one where he got his badge. And he's like, "How'd you do that?" He's like, "Pins. I poked holes in the film." He's like, "God, thinking like an engineer," and he starts talking about how like what you do is kind of like what I do, isn't it? Like I know what my guys need to do and I know how to get it done, And he's like, "Yeah, I guess," like he's like, "I don't want to
Yeah.
say it like that, but yeah,
He
the way
just
you put it, simply like that, yeah."
it's like yes, it is the same but different. And the difference is your passions are just down different branches, and
Hmm.
like this the characters couldn't have been, I don't know, any more perfect for this movie. Just the father and like this I fear this person. Like I fear becoming what's Paul Dano,
Bert.
Bert. Okay, Bert. I just Paul Dano was the only name in my head during the whole movie, but I just suck with character names. But Bert, I this is like I fear becoming this person. I do not want to be just I don't know. This is my worst fear is to become kind of this person at the end. Like I don't think he's a bad not to say that he's a bad person. He's a great person. He's loving, caring. Like that is everything great about him. But just to be, I guess, that disconnected and too focused in on the work and too I don't know, not human enough, like
Yeah,
I guess. And
analytical.
yeah, and like I feel like the blend between the two engineers that we saw like is kind of perfect. You don't want to be the home wrecker, that's coming in and sweeping in, but that's one thing. And but you don't want to be the dad that's like, hey kids, look at this triangle here. Do you know why it's a triangle? Because the center of gravity is real strong. And look at, and then they just see their mom playing on a tree and they're like, yeah, that's way more fun. We're going
Right,
over
right.
there. And it's
Well, and
but
I adore Bert Fableman, man.
mm,
I do. I love him. When Michelle Williams, who is also utterly fucking fantastic in this movie, um, throws out the whole, um, I don't want to. I'm not going to leave your dad. He's the kindest, most sweetest, most caring, most empathetic, most.
mm-hmm.
I get angry at him. He goes and buys me a dress. I do like I. There's nothing he could possibly do he can't possibly conceive of there being anything wrong here. And for that, she loves him, but
Oh,
it's also why there can't be anything. That's why there's nothing left. And that's why, like,
mm-mm.
ultimately, I feel so fucking bad for Bert. I love Bert Fableman because, when it came to that moment, whenever, he's doing the fire and, he's just trying to relay onto his kids what he loves.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to know his audience a little bit, but
That's
still, like, that's not the worst thing a father can do.
oh
You
yeah.
know,
No, good
the
good oh no, like yeah, he's never done anything wrong per
no,
se.
yeah,
It's
but
just
he
to
doesn't
know
know his
when to sit
audience.
down or to
Yeah,
know
yeah.
when to kind of be like, you know what, maybe not yet, or maybe
Hmm.
in another way, because whenever he was explaining how film worked at the beginning, to little Sam, I bet like I don't know, maybe that was a little interesting to him, but then like it just kind of went on a little too long, and then
Hmm.
it's like his mom just turned him around and was like, "It's gonna be fun," or just talk to him like a kid, after
Movies are dreams,
yeah.
doll, and she never
Oh,
forget.
that's what she
And
says
that's
right when
that's
he
when she
turns.
says when,
Oh,
yeah,
then yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
because he's it's the perfect contrast between, and they literally don't cut during that scene. They show one side of
Uh,
Sammy, they show the other side of Sammy, and they pan to Paul Dano that your brain can't hold onto the picture fast enough, which gives you the impression that a still picture is actually moving, a motion picture, and that's
mm,
that's exciting for him. That's what makes it cool to him. It's not the fact that it's a story, it's not the fact that it's art, it's the fact that there is
mm-hmm.
a fascinating science behind it that
Yeah.
ends up resulting in something as cool as this. And and then for her to come in with the artistic perspective, which is why another one of my favorite scenes and another one of my favorite performances, one of the most interesting Oscar nominations of the year from this movie was Judd Hirsch as Uncle Boris. He got nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting
Hey.
Actor. Um,
I mean, he came in and he left his mark.
oh, he did the thing, yeah, but that scene is it
Hmm.
it's the centrally most important scene to Sammy's characterization. It determines everything, and it's just Judd Hirsch going in for about 5 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
Whenever he's like, "Your family and your art, it will tear you in two," and he talks about,
Mm.
like, you love them, you love your family, I know you do, but this I think you love more. And then that comes back around whenever he's imagining how he'd film the sequence where his parents are telling them they'd get a divorce, like that
Mm-hmm.
moment isn't as important to him as it is to think about how he would shoot the moment. And I think that there's
Oh,
that is the most important part of the movie for Sammy's character. And the way that there's such a fascinating blend of all sorts of Spielberg all over this movie. I love the vaguely scary sequence that precedes Uncle Boris showing up, where the phone rings and she answers the phone and don't let him in. Who, Mama? Who are you talking about?
yeah.
Don't let him in. And then Paul Dano takes the phone and he's like, "You're having a nightmare," and again. I'm going Paul Dano for my performance, man. I
Mm.
love him as Burt Fableman. I think that Michelle Williams got an Oscar nom. She lost to Michelle Yeoh, which you're never going to hear me
Fair
complain
enough.
about. I love Michelle Yeoh.
Mm-hmm.
Judd Hirsch lost to Kwan. I agree with that wholeheartedly as well. What I don't agree with, even though I do love Judd Hirsch in this movie, is that Paul Dano didn't get the nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a subtle, more of a very
oh, for
subtle, and
sure,
he
for
is kind
sure.
of hidden, kind of. I don't know. That is kind of what he's doing, but I don't know. It is just as impressive to play that. Yeah, and like
Oh yeah,
the subtle facial movements that he had. Just the whenever he goes in
my
the kitchen,
shot.
and yeah, that like
Dude, my shot is whenever he sees the picture of them and he just looks out and there's a shadow on the wall. And the shadow behind him has sort of the vague shape of Mitzi. I don't know if you clock that. Um,
what
yeah, it has the
what?
vague shape of, you can see a little bit of the bob on the head there, and it's just kind of, I might be projecting onto it, but that's how I like to see it. Um,
Oh,
and
you're right, dude.
yeah,
That is
like
so purposeful. It has
oh
to
yeah,
be.
yeah.
Oh
You don't do
yeah.
that on accident. And that's like, it's just such a gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching moment when he realizes sort of, like he comes and talks to his son a little bit after that and he goes, like we're we're too deep into our story for us to say the end. You know, he's still
Mm,
holding on to the idea that perhaps there's a future for him and Mitzi, and there's a Mitzi shaped hole in his heart. She was the perfect balance for him. He was not the perfect balance for her. You know, even their daughter, another one of my favorite characters in this movie. I absolutely adore her.
mm,
Whenever she's talking to Sammy while he's editing his beach picture, and she says, she laughs at Benny's jokes, but Dad was always her best audience. You know, like that is
mm-hmm.
on the money, you know, and I get chills like the fact again, I love everything everywhere all at once, but the fact that this screenplay doesn't win best screenplay is fucking insane. It's and I think and again, everything everywhere all at once, one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely adore it, but like there's just some things the movie can't do nearly as well as what this accomplishes, and that's one of them. There's plenty of stuff in Everything Everywhere All at Once that hits like a truck. But even that line, which is not one of the hardest hitting lines in the movie, you know, like there are lines in the movie that I think hit even harder.
Mm.
But that one line by a major supporting character, like being just like she laughs at Benny all of Benny's jokes, but Dad was her
Yeah.
best audience. You know, like
So
that's an incredible line.
the
That is
daughters
an
had nothing.
unbelievable
Like
line.
they were just kind of there in the movie before, just as kind of extras, and that was kind of at least the divorce scene. Definitely, they got some stuff to go on, but I feel like before they were just kind of like in the back of the car to make some
Hmm.
noise or whatever. But then,
They helped him with his films when he was younger and
hmm
stuff. You know, that was cute. I
but
liked that.
then the one sister that was like that came in and just kind of it was right after the divorce and everything, whatever, and the conversation eventually gets to like but you like you're selfish too, like, and you don't realize it, but you're like out of all of us, you're the
You
closest
are the
one
most
to
like her.
like her. And then he like he was like whoa, he was like holy shit, like out of like it kind of, but he knew it was true. Like he wasn't trying to like deny it. He was just like, oh, like shit, this is the kind of like the first time it's hit
Mm.
me. But yeah, like what a moment to get out of one of the siblings that you know that is just a random one moment that they I don't know. And then the little embrace they have afterwards of like, hey, before I show
Hmm.
this to the whole school, can you at least watch it with me? And
Yeah.
they hug there, and I don't, it's just little moments like that 'cause I started tracking every moment that I like teared up or like a good tear up, and then
Oh yeah,
I
that's one of
stopped.
them.
I stopped eventually. I was just like
Yeah.
it's getting too full. Um, but yeah, I guess I have showing his mom the movie in the closet. That was the first
Oh
train one actually.
yeah, yeah.
Whenever he's looking at it on his hand first. That's I think
Hmm.
my shot of the
Gorgeous,
movie. Oh my
gorgeous
god!
shot.
And just the idea of it, like it's just like a kid, like in his I don't
Well,
know.
and
Oh,
it's
it's
also again just like Spielberg, like holding the movies in the palm of his hand. You
come
know, like
on,
this is
like
him. You know, like
yeah,
it's just
come
perfect.
on. It's the poster I also changed to
Oh,
letterboxed.
the way he pulls her into the room for the first one, and then he does it again whenever he's showing her the late, like the shot of him holding his hand up
And
at the
his mom
like, oh
smiling
my
on the second time
God.
at first, and she's like, oh, just like
Uh,
last time, and then it's like a
yeah,
way different.
dude, and they don't even
But
show the movie, and they just stick with Michelle Williams, just
thank you,
slowly. God, dude,
thank you. Like I'm like,
I
on
know.
one hand, I'm like, I kind of wanted to see what just a raw, because this probably wasn't an edited, put together well. This was just the scraps that he had. I bet it would still look really good, but the decision was perfect, just to keep the camera on her the whole time and just no cuts. Oh man, yeah, it was perfect. But yeah, the first initial train crash, that made me
Mm.
tear up, which was nice. And then making his first movie, with his siblings, like whenever they got all the mummy, they were all
God, that's
mummified,
so
or
like it's just it.
he
There's a nostalgia there that's kind of
oh
timeless. You know, you remember?
yes, he brings them up to the attic and he scares them or whatever, and he has this
Yeah,
like light circle
yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah,
that makes
yeah.
it look just like so good, and he's just I don't know. I feel like that like details like that are too specific for him to not like he did shit like that at home. Like that's
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
crazy.
Well, and just the innovation he shows as a young filmmaker working on a shoestring budget, where like when he's shooting the war picture, and it's just like the plank that he steps on the
Yeah.
end of, and it simulates that sort of thing, firecrackers in the walls and stuff. Like
Mhm.
that's cool as fuck. That's a great idea, and
Bird
it's
poop.
just.
Nope.
Yes,
Ice
yes.
cream, little movie magic, all the little movie magic things that
Hmm.
were in there was just so cool.
God, and the beach, the ditch day sequence is really, really
Mm.
cute. There's a lot of just really, really cute stuff in this movie too, and I think it's so funny that he has a girlfriend who fetishizes him for being Jewish like Jesus. Um,
You're a really fun guy to kiss, It's like that's all she
yeah,
really cares. Like he looks
yeah,
like Jesus and he's good at kissing.
yeah.
Maybe Spielberg's just he's got his
Jesus is
Mac game.
sexy.
Yeah. What man, that was you think that was his first kiss? Like
At least was in the movie.
I
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't.
no way like this has to be dramatized, but it would be hilarious if this dude's first kiss or I don't think I think that's all they did there, but that
Yeah,
like
yeah. I
just to
didn't.
be like
Well,
having Jesus
she's down. She's dedicated her life to Christ. They
yeah.
didn't go any further than a
That's
kiss there.
that's true. But I mean just to have like Jesus there in the moment, like
Yeah.
you're forced to have to like just call Jesus into you,
Hey,
have him come and
Jesus.
beg. Yeah, he's
You're
like
there. Show me a sign. And she.
uh, yeah, you can't
Come
do
into
this.
me,
He's
Jesus.
like,
Come
how?
here.
What?
Yeah,
He's
no,
like, yeah,
it's
well, I
just.
don't know. We've been fine for like 5,000 years. I don't know. We've been chilling. Like, I loved how like calm and relaxed he was about
Oh, he had a
everything,
little
and
bit of game there,
um,
like whenever he was
hmm
like, "Well, we've been doing fine for about 5,000 years, so you know how it is." I loved that whole
bloody
sequence.
no, yeah, just knows all. I don't know.
There's a
After getting,
really like again, credit to Gabriel LaBelle for the way he plays Sammy here because there's a fascinating balance whenever he's in his element. He's as confident and suave and cool as anybody else in the movie, and then when he's completely out of it,
hmm
he feels so sad and not pathetic, but like I don't know, like he's playing him
yeah,
pathetic. It's not like the character himself. I know he's not pathetic, but
mm,
like he feels like he is pathetic in those
yeah.
moments,
It,
and
they show the general high school,
mhm.
kind of getting bullied. He's
Well,
not good
and
at sports.
a little bit more specific than that too, with the anti-Semitism he faced in his new
That's
school.
true. That sucks. Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
that
that
just
was a rough.
sucks.
Yeah, and like that's another one of those things that's not dramatized. Like they moved to California. They're the only Jewish people for miles, and that's and it's bizarre to think about how much this specific element has evolved.
hmm
Like it's fascinating that there was a guy at his school who could look at him and like know that he was Jewish. I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can look at
I don't
anybody and
have
go,
that ability.
exactly. And that's what's interesting is that a lot of people who have that ability are either Jewish or they are anti-Semitic. You
Ah,
know what I'm saying? Like it's
you point them out on for a reason.
like
Yeah.
yeah. And so
Hmm.
but that's what's interesting is that like I feel like that's not a common thing people can just do now is like you must be Jewish. Like I don't
Mm-mm.
I can hardly ever tell that.
Yeah.
And
That one other guy. The main
oh
jock that was whatever,
God,
but the
that
the
fucking
smaller
cunt.
kind of.
God, I hated him.
Oh
And that's why the last scene is so fucking awesome. He's demented, like medically. So
yeah,
watch your back. Like
yeah.
that whole sequence. But whenever they are, they're not buddy buddy at the end, but they've got that weird relationship going that also has I always projected onto a movie, a vague homoeroticism. Um, there's some, specifically
Feel
with
like a.
Sammy Fabelman, the whole fucking movie feels,
Mhm.
there's a really important speech Steven Spielberg gave at the Oscars, following this movie where everyone was like, I thought you were going to come out right, like right there. Like that's what it felt like on whenever he
Wow.
was talking about it. So like there's like in a movie that is so personal and so specific and so they aren't depicting Sammy as effeminate, not strictly, but they're obviously not depicting him as masculine,
Mhm.
because he's not. He's artsy and that's his vein and that's kind of the side of the plate he swings on, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of speculation after this movie where everyone was like, Sammy Fabelman is not straight. Like that was kind of
Mm-mm.
the impression
You
that a
know,
lot of people came away from this movie with. Um,
maybe it is just you gotta know what looks good, to shoot good. I get
yeah,
like
I
you
had that exact thought. Like the way he shoots the jock is attractive.
not a way a
You know,
man
like
would or a
no.
like a man shooting a man, I
Yeah,
guess
you know,
like you
like
wouldn't.
one of our straightest filmmakers is Richard Linklater. Richard Linklater is a straight man, and you can tell in the way that he shoots movies. You know, like it's not that he's very good at romance. He can depict the shit out of a romance, but it's the gaze is almost always on the woman. You know, like that is almost always
Hmm.
the case. It's always like, oh, this woman is otherworldly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Spielberg has a knack for shooting men that way. Also, you know,
Shooting both sides. Yeah.
Harrison Ford, and Karen Allen and Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, both of those people are extraordinarily attractive.
Mm.
Minority Report, War of the Worlds. Anytime he's ever shot Tom Cruise, it feels like he's like, yep, that's Tom Cruise right there. Leonardo DiCaprio, it feels like he shoots him with a certain like that's a beautiful man, you know. And so like there's no sense
Mm-hmm.
in speculating about real life people's sexuality or anything, but that is something that in this movie, when Sammy Fabelman shoots him like that, it's like, oh, you know, like there's something
Yeah.
there a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like everyone kind of in the art game, maybe not just in the art game, maybe just like just generally happier people are more just comfortable saying that like I'm not 100% straight or
Yeah, right.
100%. It's
Yeah.
just like yeah, I can just say
I
that's an
would
attractive looking
never. It's
man
like, I don't know,
or
maybe.
whatever.
No,
And
I wouldn't.
I think it helps
Um,
especially when you're a director. You need to know what looks good or what will get people to feel that emotion, to feel that sense of attraction. And if you're feeling it yourself, then there you
mhm.
go. It's probably
It's
coming
easier
from
that way.
somewhere. Yeah.
Well, and there's also
But
a certain degree of empathy that it's obvious Spielberg possesses, that it's that Sammy possesses. I'm calling him Spielberg, but like
mhm.
there's an obvious degree of empathy. Like whenever his mom collapses coming out of the closet and starts crying there, and he's like, it's fine, I won't tell." Like he's been so cold to her for weeks. He's been so, you know, like you are being mean to the nicest man alive, essentially,
Mhm.
is how he's feeling, you know, like you, but the moment she comes collapsing out of that closet, it's like, I didn't mean for like, I love you and I love dad and I don't want to do anything. So like I won't tell. I won't tell. It's okay. You know, like it's just oh
Mm-mm.
sorry. He's just such a sweet guy. He's such a sweet kid. And I
Yeah.
loved Sammy Fableman. Easy character pick
It's
for the movie, you know. There's no other
yeah.
choice.
I
Um
gave him the double, the double, the
mm,
performance and the character. I really hope I see him in more. I guess he was in Predator, the new Predator movie, and I have seen that a while ago, but I don't remember him being in it. Maybe he was just a support,
Probably a
very
brief.
very small,
Yeah.
yeah, small role. But I don't know. I really would like to see him in some new
He's
stuff.
got some eyes on him.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask if those were contacts or are those his real eyes because I
I can't
mean
tell.
they were
There
like
were points where they're like striking.
yeah, like it's like
And
whoa.
not in a particular way where it's like there are obviously moments like the moment whenever he sees himself in the mirror shooting it and then they cut to his eyes, like he's
Mm,
obviously very good at acting with his eyes, but the scene with like Judd Hirsch when he's playing like scared, his eyes are almost scary. You
yeah,
know,
they do kind
they're
of change.
dark,
It feels
you know,
like
like they
yeah.
are dark,
Mm,
and it almost looks like he just has black eyes sometimes, and there are points in this movie where I'm like, man, ooh, I feel like he's looking into my fucking soul sometimes. But yeah, no,
mm,
generally Gabriel LaBelle is also like, I was just blown away by how good he is. And Michelle Williams is the other, like, we haven't really talked about her performance, but goddamn is she good, man. Like she's always good. She's
yeah.
Michelle Williams. There's never really anything that you're gonna watch her in and be like, she could have done better. You know, like
Hmm.
she is that good.
Wide range of
And
emotions she had to play here. She had
oh,
to go
and
crazy a little bit
a
too.
little bit of
Yeah.
a kooky character also, you know, like there's points in this movie like my mama's the best mama, she's a good mama, and she's like laying on her dying mom and stuff. Like there's a like there's something to that is like,
Uh.
man, you're good at your job, you know, like it's
Oh
it's
my
almost
God.
freaky, like whenever they're gonna move to Arizona and Bert's like he's telling them and the kids are like, "What about Benny?" And he's like, "Well, Benny is not," and then she's like, "We haven't talked about that." And he's like, "No, I can't just pull I don't have strings to pull yet. Like I can't do that." And he
Mm.
makes it happen. But before that, whenever she walks outside, like with the tornado going on and everything, and is like, "Come on, kids, let's go." And they jump in the car and everything happens for a reason, everything. About to give you a good indicator of just how good some technology can be when the right person is at the helm. That sequence is shot in the volume. Um,
In the car,
the,
the
the car
tornado.
sequence, the tornado sequence is shot in the volume. Um, yep, yeah, like that's
I guess it is kind of like a retro neighborhood. Yeah, it is.
mhm,
It's
yeah,
not a just a neighborhood you could go to. You'd
shot
have.
in the volume. Yeah, that's how they did that.
Oh my God, that's yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Tech. Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
all the stuff like AI, even like AI. Like that. That's why I want to see what like a Spielberg would do with AI. Like
Mhm.
what would he do? Would he not touch it, or would he? I don't know. Like I wonder
If
what.
he had no other choice, you know.
Yeah, you think he would stay away at all costs? Like he just.
I do. I think he's kind of got it. Like he's
Yeah, there's no
done
need, I
he's
guess,
done
really.
enough that's that good that he's like, why would I need to do
Yeah,
that?
my brain is better
Yeah. I've
than the
I've
computer
gotten
right
to
now.
this point, like George Lucas. George Lucas would, you
True.
know.
I
George
feel
Lucas
that.
would. He'd be curious about that,
Yeah.
and just kind of out of a like what more interest in what he could make possible, what he could do with it. Not he wouldn't take the principled stand. He'd be like, well, this is going to happen. I might as well try it, you
Mhm.
know?
I feel like it would never be like a final product thing. Yeah, but I don't like I feel like it's just like a tool for the process,
In
but
the
never
process, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, just a I don't know. I feel like yeah,
But
he
no,
wouldn't
like
touch
that's
it.
that's
But
like, whenever we talk about how, Marvel uses the volume or, Quantum Mania basically shot entirely in the volume for, the quantum realm and stuff. And it's like,
you can
obviously we're
tell
getting a little lazy,
like
like obviously,
yeah.
but when you see Greg Fraser use it for the Mandalorian and Greg Fraser use it for the Batman,
Yeah.
and
Oh, up on
it,
that construction or like unfinished
yeah,
building with like the
yeah,
sunset just keeping that light, that's just perfect. Like a situation like that is it is just perfect. And
yeah,
yeah,
and then
but
using it for a sequence like this where
I had no clue.
there's
That's
yeah, it
that's the
looks
crazy thing.
incredible.
Like
Yeah.
what? Like I could have sworn that was just a set, like a legit neighborhood that they were driving around on. That's just like even
Yeah,
whenever
it's
the
incredible.
light like whoosh, crashes in front of them, and all the shopping carts go in front of
That is
them, and
specifically the part that is like shown to be shot in the volume.
wow, that's
Right. It's like how,
he's showing
like
off,
that's when the
dude.
volume is at its best. Is like I can't even fathom that that's what you're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like even
Jeez.
even in the Mandalorian, which kind of speared that technology,
Mm-hmm.
there were points where it was like, "Oh, once you point it out, I can kind of tell."
Yeah.
I cannot do that with the Fabelmans. Like I was watching that scene this time going, "Okay, this is in the volume." And then I was watching it and it was like, how the fuck is this in the volume? Like I was like, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, dude is
And
flexing the entire
yeah,
movie. He is just showing what he has in oh my god. I mean, in all these like the little innovations before was just poking holes through film to make muzzle flashes, and now it's using a technology in a way that you don't even know the technology is being used. And that's the level that you have to get to now. I feel like uh to have something shocking, but I kind of love that like before someone poked holes in the film, that was never thought of before. I don't maybe Spielberg wasn't the first one to do it ever.
mm,
Like film splicing and stuff is as was a thing, I guess. I don't know. It's probably been done before him, but like that's that is an innovation that someone had to make along the way. And like now that
right.
we're at the volume and whatever we have
Yeah,
now,
specifically when you
it's
don't have a budget, like it used to be like muzzle flashes. I don't know when
mm,
muzzle flashes were developed. I don't know when that technology came to be, but like
hmm, yeah, I got
this when a creative doesn't have the means to create with infinite resources, what do they do? And like watching him
Yeah.
grapple with that being a kid making movies, it's fucking awesome. It's
Mm.
super fun to watch, and I absolutely adore it. And I think that what this is easily one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think I haven't rewatched Everything Everywhere All at Once in a while. It feels like one of those ones that I'll revisit and be like, oh yeah,
It's
you know.
back up there. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
but like that's kind of how I feel about it. But it was there for a while. It was there for a couple years before I decided, you know what, I'm comfortable putting other things above it. And this is one of them. This is one of those things that I'm comfortable being like, you know what, if I'm honest with myself, I think I like this more than Everything Everywhere All at Once. Um,
I slotted it above both Trons pretty easily. And if a movie
mhm.
does that for me, I know it's at a different tier. And when it went
Yeah, when
above
you
the Batman easily, I was like,
mhm.
okay. I'm like, whoa. Um, yeah, I mean, Interstellar and a couple Star Wars movies is the only thing I have above it.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yeah,
that's
off the top of my head, I've Casablanca, Titanic, and Raiders.
hmm
And it's just because like principally I think this is probably it's like right there with Raiders. It's like right there. But
damn.
I love Raiders of the
That's
Lost Ark.
huge. That's
Um,
huge because I haven't slotted the indie movies in my list yet. I feel like I haven't given them a faithful watch. The second one was very distracted as well. I was on vacation. It just didn't feel good. So I need to give Spielberg, especially now, I'm giving Spielberg all the attention. He
mhm.
like I have to. I mean, this
No, he's one of
man
the goats for a reason, man. He's one of the greatest that ever did it. And yeah,
doing it,
I
keeping
like
on doing it.
one of the main movies that I really, really need to get around to is his West Side Story, 2021, the musical movie he did.
Hmm.
Because I've heard that's fucking incredible. It's just that he's got a black hole of charisma in the lead. I fucking hate Ansel Elgort, and he's a piece of shit, so it's
Oh,
hard to
that
fuck with that.
yeah. I don't know. I've only ever seen him in Divergent, I think is like what I know him as,
Mm,
but he's always yeah, I don't know. Why does he have a punchable face? I'm not a fighter at all whatsoever,
yeah,
but he does just
no,
kind of have one of those faces.
rumor.
Oh,
But
maybe that's
yeah,
why.
yeah, that's why. He's disgusting. But yeah, it was one of those just shitty fucking things where they made West Side Story. They shot it pre-pandemic,
Hmm.
and stuff came out during the pandemic about him, and they were like, "Fuck," and they just like had to. They'd made the whole
Eesh.
fucking movie. They had to float it out there, like but
Yeah,
yeah.
my thought
So,
on those things
but
is
beyond that, Ansel Elgort can sing, but even he's not a very good actor, which is also one of the interesting things. That's why I'm excited to watch it to see if Spielberg was able to get something out of him. Um, you know,
probably. I
um,
mean, off of this dumb military dude that just kept
yeah,
walking.
fucking
Dude, the
yeah.
dude was so lost in the sauce that he had to keep walking. His homies were
There
like,
was also
"Dude, like come
They're like,
back."
come back. He's like, I can't right now, bro. I'm sad and I don't want y'all to see me
All
like
of you are
this.
dead because of me, and it's my fault. Yeah, I mean, homie
I
was
thought it was the Nazis. Yeah, yeah, it was. But that whole thing, I
yes,
loved
but
it.
yeah, oh man, and he's just crying there with him, like kind of. I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's what's got to happen unless you're with a professional. If you're with a top of
Well,
the class actor, you just tell him, hey, this is what's going on.
there's another little connection there that, like the Nazis are an easy villain. Like you hate the Nazis, everybody fucking hates the Nazis, but like knowing that his dad fought in World War II against Nazis. And
Mm,
then you go like, who's the villain of the first Indiana Jones movies? And it's Nazis, and it's like, like yeah, I
wow.
mean, there's all sorts of
The
stuff that he's
Spielbergisms, the
yes, yes.
Wesisms. That's what we
God,
call. I wonder if there's a better isn't or word for that, but I'll stick with Spielbergisms, I guess, for now.
Spielgasms.
It's yes, the Spielgasms that we're
Yeah,
getting on
yeah.
screen. No, they show through very I don't know, just it's very apparent. After the
Oh, dude, and
seeing
the way
this is
he lights a fucking shot, dude. Whenever Mitzi kneels down in front of young Sammy to hand him the camera, and the lights coming in over the top of her, and he's being shimmered, and it's like there's like a glowing light on the camera, like it's
you've been
obviously
gifted
dramatic light. Yeah,
your
it's obvious.
like holy grail. Yeah.
There are so many incredibly thoughtful visual storytelling beats. One of them, the most obvious one that people love to point to because it's just heart-wrenching. Um, After he shows his film that gets him his merit badge, and they show the reactions from his parents. They zoom in on all three of them. Paul Dano looks at Michelle Williams, and then they cut Paul Dano out. They pan away from him as she looks at Benny. And it's like, oh my God. But earlier than that, at the beginning of the movie, whenever they're all sitting down to dinner, um, and he's going on and on and on and on. And no, like, she's like, am I supposed to be getting any of this? You know,
Mm.
and then Benny explains it in simpler terms. And there's a shot from behind Mitzi where she's holding Bert's hand to her right. And she says, God, I love Bert's brain. And then she leans like this and it shows Benny's face. And then she goes, especially when you're around to explain it. And it's just like, oh my
Ouch.
God, that's fucking brilliant. You know, like that's just
Oh, yeah. And
she just moves her head. The camera doesn't budge. She just leans her head over to like look at him, and it's just god damn, it's brilliant, dude. And there's
man,
I
who's
can't get enough.
cinematography? I guess is he
Yeah,
holding the
Janis
camera
Kaminsky.
or okay? So
He is that's Spielberg's cinematographer. The way Yeoman is Wes Anderson's,
okay,
Kaminsky is Spielberg's, and has been for a very very long time. Um,
man, that's a I don't know. I feel like it's the cinematographer goes under the radar a whole lot of the time, but um, I wonder like because like you see pictures every now and then of directors like holding the camera for specific shots and stuff like that,
mhm.
and I wonder like how much of it is just kind of like a tag team, kind of just like
Oh,
they like a
the bulk
golfer
of it,
like in like
you
a
know.
caddy talking to like the golfer
Hmm.
being like, hey, yeah, I think this is what we should do for this shot
Especially when it
here,
is
or
something like that, you know, when it is like they've been working together for. I mean, I don't know how
mm,
long Kaminsky's been shooting Spielberg movies. I know he's the cinematographer on Raiders, so at least
a
40
while,
years prior to
yeah.
this. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe he shot Jaws. I don't know off the top of my head. Um, but like when you have a relationship like that, a working relationship like that, you kind of, I assume, become of one mind to a degree. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like you eventually understand what the other's looking for. You understand what you need out of a certain scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like it's when you fire on all cylinders like that. I mean, that's why Yeoman and uh Wes Anderson work so well together. That's why I'm excited to see what the I think it's called The Phoenician Scheme is the next Wes movie, and it's not being shot by Robert Yeoman. It's his first live action movie that won't be shot by Robert Yeoman. Um,
Mm.
so like, and that's
Okay.
what's interesting is not every Spielberg movie is shot by Kaminsky, but a lot of them are shot by Kaminsky. So it's fun to
Wow.
kind of see which ones
Hmm.
kind of slip through the cracks, because like, and I just love the careers of cinematographers are always so funny, you know.
Oh, going from
Yeah, Kaminsky has shot one movie since The Fabelmans, and it was If, the John Krasinski directed Ryan Reynolds
mm.
imaginary friend movie that just came out. Um,
Wow. Okay.
he
Yeah.
also let's see, there's almost certainly some more fun stuff in here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Spielberg. In fact, this might be every Spielberg now that I'm looking at it. Um, Shot Little Giants. I don't know if you ever watched that, the football movie with the little kids playing against each other. Like
Little
he's been around the
Giants.
block. Oh, I was wrong. He did not shoot Raiders of the Lost Ark. I apologize for that. They've been working together since Schindler's List in 1993.
Mm.
Um,
Still quite a while.
yeah,
I'd say
I
they
wonder
have
what
a
I was thinking of.
pretty
Yeah,
healthy
30 years,
relationship.
not 40 years, but um,
Mm.
who shot Raiders? Why am I thinking of that?
Douglas Schlo Slocum? Douglas
Slocum. Yeah,
Slocum. Yeah.
that's right. That is
Um,
right.
but
Um,
hmm. But man, no, I mean, I guess the director is still telling the cinematographer
yeah, same way he does
the same way
actors,
he tell. Yeah. So I guess it's they're really behind the camera. Like the
Yeah,
director is
they know what they
truly.
want. It's the cinematographer's job to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I tell my guys where I want them and what I need done, and they make it happen. The way
Mm.
Bert says. But
Go to that painting over there. Well, describe it. And I love
wow.
the final shot. Like it's
Oh,
the horizon is in the middle. At first, and then they're like,
well,
oop.
and it's just one of those things where like in a movie where he's been flexing the whole time, you know, it's showing that he's not a prodigy. He's not
Mm-hmm.
it's not like he was born this way. He is still learning. Even
Yeah.
now at 79, at 80, he is still learning how to do this.
Mm.
And God, I love that last scene. I love it so much. When the horizon's at the bottom, it's interesting. When the horizon's at the top, it's interesting. When the horizon's in the middle, it's boring as shit. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Now I'm gonna be
Well,
looking at every shot now.
mhm.
And just
And
seeing where they're at.
it's not
But
foolproof.
yeah,
It's
no.
not it's not like it's not always the case. But like if you watch Spielberg movies,
Mm.
you will see he's taken this advice. This is not something that it's like this is a real piece of advice John Ford gave him. Like it's something that he has observed. Um
Yeah. I mean that he had I feel like two meetings that were just crucial. It was his what was it, crazy uncle?
Uncle Boris.
Yeah, Uncle Boris and David Lynch. But
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really. Yeah.
John Ford.
But man, those two
Yeah.
meetings, yeah, he remembered those
Mhm.
for quite some time and had quite the
Yeah.
impact. I love as uncle, his uncle's leaving, he like gives him the last little like your family and art will tear you apart, and his whole family's
Yeah.
looking at him like, what the fuck?
What the
Like, what did
What'd you
you guys
connect
talk
with
about? Like,
Boris?
yeah,
Yeah.
what? Because yeah, his mom's like, man, I thought that was gonna be a lot worse than it was. What a nice, pleasant visit. And
That's one of the specific shots that
eh,
everyone always points to whenever they talk about Sammy's femininity. Whenever Boris is leaving and his whole family's standing there, and he's got
really,
he's got
oh,
his hands
okay,
on his hips like this, and he's
okay,
kind of he's standing cunty.
mm-hmm,
But it's
hmm,
but yeah, no, I mean, just Gabriel LaBelle is so fucking good. He's so fucking good in this movie, and I mean, it's a big movie. 2.5 hours. It leaves no stone unturned, and it. I mean, like, how are you gonna, who's gonna tell Spielberg to slow it down? Like, hey, no, maybe you cut that. Like, no, this is his movie. He's gonna get that
mm-hmm.
done.
Yeah,
Um,
this feels like a holiday time movie.
mhm.
Like this, it would feel so good, cozied up in the winter, like
Oh yeah,
just to
I watched
watch
it for the
this and
first time on December 15th, 2022, and I
ah,
remember, yeah, January 10th, 1952.
there you go.
You know,
You
watched
have
it for the first time that day.
yeah.
Um,
Guess you probably loved movies before then.
yeah, it
But
was it was not the first, but though that is the thing though, is that I will say there is no other movie that makes me want to make movies like this movie. Um,
mm-hmm.
I like a lot of people will point to Star Wars and I mean even older Spielberg stuff, Jaws, Raiders, stuff like that, and be like, that's wow, now I know I want to make that happen. Like I'd had that feeling, but I've never felt that feeling like when I watched The Fabelmans for the first time. Like when I watched The Fabelmans for the first time was when I was kind of like, I'm at some point in my life I'm going to make that happen. I don't know how, but
Be
I'm
so
going to do
cool.
that.
Yeah, it just seems so you have to go. You have to just dive in. You can't
You
just
just have
like
to do it.
half-ass
Yeah.
do it. You got to do it. And that's yeah, it's a big, I guess I don't know. It could be a simple one. Just made it home with a
Hmm.
couple people. A silent movie, I love that it was just keeping it rolling. He's like, I can't use any of this. Come on, guys, this is ridiculous. Or like, he's talking to him while recording, not have to worry about audio or anything. And
Right.
yeah, it was just so many
Quit
feel
looking at the
good.
camera. I
Yeah.
can't use any of this. Yeah, it's
Ah, man. Yeah, I love.
And the way that they're all there, it's his entire family helping him make the movie when they're all shoveling the dust into there,
Hmm.
like
You're getting dust in my carrier. He's like,
it's
"Ah,
like then we'll clean it,
we'll clean it out. Yeah.
I love that. And it's like Sammy goes, "All right, I need more dust, more dust." And the sisters are like, "No more dust. This fucking sucks." And Bert goes, "More dust, fellas." Like it's like
Yeah.
it's awesome. Like they're so supportive and they love and Boris obviously says, like when they tell you it is hobby, when they tell you it is, it's cute little thing you do, but it is your life. It is what you are meant to do. Like it just rocks,
Hmm.
man. It hits so fucking hard, and I love this movie with all my heart. So, um, yeah, I'm glad it was my final pick.
Yes.
This was one I decided weeks ago. I was going to be a
Ah.
little disappointed last week if you ended up switching it up on me because I decided this forever ago.
Mm.
Um,
I'm glad there was something. I'm like, it, I don't know. I just felt too in that same vein, but I'm
Everything
glad it
happens
wasn't
for a
really wasn't.
reason.
Hmm.
Everything happens for a
That's right.
reason.
Yeah.
Everything happens
The
for a
perfect
reason.
capstone.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this
No,
was,
but
mm,
yeah, but
mm-mm.
Fabelmans, man, that'll you feel like we've left any? Do we left any stones unturned?
Let's see. Gotten everything. I guess a line. I just haven't decided between a Burt line. Um, yeah, I think I don't know. At least the delivery was enough. Whenever this was, let's see, when was this? And his apartment at this point, I think. No, 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 no. He has not edited the camping trip movie yet, and his dad is like, "Please, just edit this for me. Like your mom would love it." Blah blah blah. And Sam's kind of fighting back,
Mm.
not wanting to do it. And then he looks down. He goes, "Something's not right. I don't know what else to do." And he like crack. He's really like getting
Yeah, he's like,
vulnerable, and he
I
says
don't
like, "Can
know.
you help me?" He's just like, "Can you help me?" And then like it was just like, oh, he was like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, he was like, oh, okay. And then like still took him some time. He still didn't. It took Uncle Boris, I guess, coming in to really get him to be like, hey, dude, come on. You need to make that shit.
Mm,
But then the cursed deleted footage, that was
yeah.
kept in the drawer the whole time. But yeah, I don't know, that delivery was nice, but I think the line I will end up going with is that you don't owe anyone your life, not even me.
Mm.
From his
God, that
from
was
his
good.
mom. That was
That was
just
good.
like but a lot to choose from in here. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
another one of my favorite lines that's just kind of like you don't know the full implications of it at the time, but it's whenever he crashes his trains for the first time and they're laying him back in bed and he's like, "You can play with these when you learn to respect them." And he goes, "But I do respect them. I love them." And Bert goes, "It's not enough to love something. You also have to take care of it." Um, and it's just like, God fucking damn, dude. And it's
Ah, oh man, poor
yeah.
Bert. God damn it, dude. To go from the Riddler to Bert is
Yeah,
nuts.
same year, 2022.
That's nuts.
Big year for Paul Dano.
Hmm.
I mean, also notably a role where he doesn't get his ass beat. He usually gets fucking rocked
Really,
if he's in a movie. Yeah, like
that's
there
his
there
thing.
is an insane amount of movies where Paul Dano gets the absolute shit beat out of him.
Okay, 12. There will be blood.
Yep.
12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. I guess. Little Miss Sunshine. That doesn't sound too bad. I don't
He was
know.
young. It's a sad movie.
Uh,
He was young though. I can't remember if he gets his ass beat in that.
hmm.
And
But yeah.
I've never seen it, but I haven't
But
heard
okay,
anything.
huh? I'll have to
But
keep an
yeah,
eye out for that, I guess.
no, he just gets an emotional ass whooping in this one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. This one might be
it's
worse. I don't know.
I
This.
think I'd rather get my shit rocked
Mm-hmm.
than my best friend fall in love with my wife. Um, rough living. But yeah,
Poor dude.
there's so many great lines. It's an incredible screenplay. It's incredibly good looking. It's incredibly performed. Like
Mm.
we might be looking at the best since, and you know what I mean since for.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
oh, sorry, my Apple
Mm.
ID was being used to sign in somewhere. I'm assuming that was upstairs.
Oh. Okay. I was gonna say. What
Uh,
happened?
but yeah, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and do the plugs. after the plugs, we are going to rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, enjoyment and critically. And then after that, we are going to do an album of the week. There is no announcement for what our next movie is going to be because this
Wow.
is the end of season one. But season two will be coming. We are doing a season two, I can assure you of that. And we do have some surprises in the meantime. You know, we're gonna hit you with a couple cinema surprises in between season one and season two as a nice little bonus episodes. And when you find those, when you listen to those, you will find out when season two is coming for sure. Nice little surprise for you there. But yeah, with that, if you would head to patreon.com/pennybloom pod where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. Previously, that is where you could have found Penny Bloom Dispatch for free, but starting next week, Penny Bloom Podcast will become Penny Bloom Dispatch essentially. It's more of a segment based show, a lot more you know, uh, time sensitive sort of stuff going on over there. We usually like to like we talked about the Fabelmans today. It's been a couple years since the Fabelmans came out, but we're talking stuff that happened last week, this week, so on and so forth. And that's kind of a little bit more the goal of the Penny Bloom Dispatch, more fun segmented sort of business like the show used to be when it first started. But yeah, let's see. What else? What else? Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at Penny Bloom Podcast. If you want any updates on anything for sure, Twitter is the place to be. Penny Bloom Pod. Go ahead and follow there. You can also follow me at Coro_Bloom, CORO_Bloom. And that's where all the news for the shows coming is. We got a lot going on next month, just a couple weeks away. We start the Cinementalists. We'll be kicking that off with on September 13th with a live commentary of Star Wars 1977.
Mm.
And I'm very excited for that. And I can't wait for you to hear it. We actually just recorded that recently, and it's going to be the first episode. I'm so excited. But we are getting to the indie movies here in a couple months. In November, we'll be doing the Indiana Jones movie, so we'll be sticking with Spielberg over there in November. So make sure you keep up with the Cinementalists and uh, we've also got our Star Wars weekly show right now where we're talking, well, we were talking the Acolyte when it was going on, but we pivoted to just general Star Wars discussion. As of yet, I can't guarantee you what we're doing over there right now. Because we're recording this really far in advance. I have no idea what we'll be doing by then. But yeah, let's see. Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening. And remember to download the episode, especially if you're listening on Cinema Surprise.
Mm.
Remember, this is the last episode of Cinema Surprise that will be available on Penny Bloom Pod. So if you want to keep up with season two, if you want to keep up with what's coming on in between, stop listening on Penny Bloom Pod. Go search right now, Cinema Surprise, find it, go ahead and follow. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and download those episodes because then you'll automatically get updated whenever we release the season two, the little bonus episodes in between seasons. So one of the surprises is spoiled that we will be having episodes in between seasons. However, you don't know what they're going to be on or what movie. They're just going to happen one day. They're just going to be there, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to miss out. You want to be following Cinema Surprise for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and rate this thing. How are we feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, enjoyment wise?
Well, we can just rate it critically. I think
Yeah,
today.
that's tens.
I don't
That's
think
a 10
there's
on enjoyment.
yeah
Yeah.
there's any debate here. We can
It was so
just.
funny. I'm watching this next to Emily last night, and I'm very comfortable crying during movies,
Mm-hmm.
and she certainly knows this about me by now. Um, but there are some movies that I can't cry
Ah.
every time I want to cry because it's just a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I'll like roll over and I'll be like,
Uh. Just take.
hitting the sniffles, and I know she knows I'm crying,
Mm-hmm.
but
But it.
she's nice enough to act like I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
that's kind of how it goes. Um,
It would
but
be interesting. The
yeah, no.
dynamic is definitely different with someone in the room.
Yeah,
That
well, and it's
that's
just especially when it's a movie that just keeps you there, it's not like it's like one scene at the end that wallops you.
nope.
Like I especially on rewatch, there's a lot of scenes early on in the movie that take on a new context,
Ah.
knowing how the movie goes. And it's just, I've watched this movie 5 times now. That was my fifth viewing of it.
Hmm.
It has not gotten old. I absolutely adore it. And I could watch it again and again. It's only gotten better. So a 10 is a certainty for me, enjoyment wise. And I would be willing to throw it a 9.75 critically. I think it is that good. I think it is amongst the greatest movies of all time. That's how I
Yeah,
feel about The
I mean,
Fabelmans.
we gave Banshees a 9.5. Yeah,
Yep.
I'd say like visually it just looked prettier because we're in Ireland and we're doing landscaping stuff. But visually, as a movie looks, this is prettier.
Yeah.
Like,
No, like as far as what it takes to shoot a film,
yes,
there's
this
very few movies that look as good as this, and that's incredible.
it's the closest thing to a documentary that I think we'll ever get. Of just Spielberg's life. I mean, it's insane
Well, and
how
that's the other thing
vulnerable he
too,
had
is
to
you wouldn't
get.
want a documentary about Spielberg's life. You'd want him to do this, you like that, and this is what he would do. So like that's what makes it so good, man. So,
Uh,
you know, we the Spielbergs essentially,
hmm
the Fabelmans.
The
I
two
absolutely adore it.
kings of the project.
My first pick and
Casablanca
my last
in
pick,
the Fablemans. Yeah, you did very
the
well.
sandwich.
I got the worst of the worst. The Book of Eli. Let's go. I got the bottom of the barrel. That's
Oh,
okay. You need some. You need. Well, it's not a shitter. You need
no, no,
some.
no,
You
no.
need
It's
some
it's
palate
fun. Yeah,
cleansers.
you need the
Um.
middle. You need the bendu.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need.
Yes. And
And the
man.
Book of Eli is the bendu.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But man, no, we got some crazy stops on this one. Movies that have changed a lot for me. The way I just think, Fablemans, Babylon did, La Chimera, and Cure. Like those four were just like,
nice surprises, man.
holy shit! Like how have I not
Yeah.
ever seen a movie like this before? And
That's
yeah,
what's so
it's
great about this, and that's why we are definitely going to be doing a season 2 of this.
oh
This
yeah.
was some of the most fun I've ever had doing a podcast. I've loved the surprise. I love
Mm,
coming on and not knowing what I was going to watch and then
mm-hmm.
finding out what I was going to watch. It's so much fun. So this is kind of something I see going on in perpetuity. I don't really anticipate it being something where ever like, all right, well, that's the final season.
Until we run
You
out of
know,
movies, I guess.
yeah, that's true.
Until we have to watch
Um,
Scooby Doo every time on repeat. I guess that'll be the end.
Yeah. When we did the 52-year journey through film episode on Scooby-Doo, where we did we committed to the bit
mm,
and we just did that the whole time.
mm.
Imagine if we did an entire season of Cinema Surprise committing to the bit, where at the end of every episode we were like, and next week we're covering Scooby-Doo
You'll
2002,
never guess it.
and you'll
You'll
never
never
guess.
guess
And
what
we
we're
commit to
covering
it that way. That would be wonderful. But
for a
no.
month straight. Scooby Doo only, but
Scooby Doo only, Scooby Doo exclusive. No, but
mm,
this was a wonderful way to end the season, and I'm so very happy. I'm so very happy with it, and I can't wait to do season 2. So be on the lookout for that for the next couple months. Go follow
hmm
Cinema Surprise. Go subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. As far as YouTube is concerned, if we do continue doing video for Cinema Surprise, it will be on Penny Bloom Pod. Just an easier umbrella for that. It's not we don't want to create too many outlets, or it just becomes a lot to keep up with. Um, so yeah, if you're gonna watch on YouTube, you're probably safe to stick with Penny Bloom Pod there.
mm-hmm.
But anywhere else, look up Cinema Surprise. That is where it will be. But yeah, let's do the final album of the
Mm-hmm.
week for the Cinema Surprises. What was your album of the week here?
No relation to the movie.
Mine
Really,
either. Mine either.
just one. Usually, I do an album in which I've known a song before, but I needed
Mm.
to expand and hear the rest of the album. And this one is from Daniel Caesar. I don't know much else other from him other than this one album, but after listening, I want to listen to more. But it is Case Study '01 is the album. And the song that I knew coming in was Cyanide as track two. Oh, it's just a banger. He fucking cooked
Mhm.
with Cyanide. But then I just put on the album just to listen to, and it was one that I was kind of doing a lot of work, so I didn't know what songs were playing. But then when I listened to it right before this podcast, I know which ones I like. I really love like the beginning and the end for some reason of this
Right.
Entropy and Cyanide. Love Again is okay, but the first two tracks, I love Entropy, I love Cyanide, and then Are You Okay? Was the other one that stood out to me. But the middle, it's not bad in the middle. It is very vibey, a very vibey album that kind of goes in many different places, kind of different accents as well. Sometimes it
Mm.
feels a little Jamaican at some points, or a little
It's a little
kind of
reggae in there.
yeah, which is fun, and then kind of back to normalcy and everything. But yeah, you got Pharrell Williams in there and John Mayer. For people who
John Mayer.
who like them,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I'm not a big John Mayer. I don't know. His voice is just kind of sounds weird to me for some
I'm
reason.
not a John Mayer guy.
Yeah, but
Especially since I have a Swiftie girlfriend or
oh,
a
was that a
reformed
previous?
A
That was a
Swiftie.
previous relationship. That's how
It
out of
was
the
one of them,
know
and
I am.
he's one of the worst, generally considered.
Ah,
Like, I'm pretty sure they dated when she was very young and he was 30. Um,
hmm. Wow, what album
like
is
young enough to
attached to
be,
him?
I don't know off the top
Is
of my
there
head.
one is there one that is like known to
I
be the
think there
breakup
is.
album
I
for
think
him?
there is, but I can't
Um,
remember which one.
wow, that's I had no idea that they even dated. That's
Yeah, yep.
crazy.
John Mayer is one.
Um,
John Mayer is among the worst of the worst there, as far
okay.
if you know a Swiftie intimately, they don't fuck with
They
John Mayer.
okay.
Um,
Then yeah, no, but Daniel Caesar is the highlight of this album, not John Mayer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Pharrell rocks.
So
Love Pharrell.
true.
Um,
Yeah.
do dig me some Pharrell. But I'm actually going with a movie soundtrack for this one.
Hmm.
Not the traditional soundtracks I usually go with. Not a score, but a soundtrack, a
Hmm.
compilation of songs put to a newer movie, a 2024 movie. The original soundtrack for I Saw the TV Glow is utterly incredible. Um,
Hmm.
Claw Machine by Sloppy Jane and Phoebe Bridgers should, and I would go as far as to say will, win Best Original Song at the Grammy or at the Oscars next year. I can't fathom a song being better than that. Um,
Wow. Okay.
Anthem of a 17-year-old girl, the very first song and the last song, Claw Machine, to mirror your choices. Those are my favorite songs. Psychic Wound fucking goes. I've never been a screamo person, but the chorus on that goes fucking nuts. And it's intense. Um,
Is it
yeah,
all
and
screamo or
no, 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 far
okay?
from it.
Hmm. Okay.
Far
Wow.
from it. And that's why like I saw the TV Glow also, as far as 2024 is concerned, is right now top two. I didn't tell you I watched this recently. Right there. I think with a rewatch, it could be top one for me. Which is I mean,
Wow.
and the music is a big reason. It is so, so good and so poignant and so perfect for the movie. Um,
Hmm.
I love that album. I saw the TV Glow. Watch it, listen to it, everything you can. But yeah, with that, we will conclude this episode and this season of Cinema Surprise.
Hmm.
I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you, and I will see you for season two, baby. Remember, peace, love, and bloom, and movies are dreams, doll, that you never forget.